I need all hands on deck to make this happen.
Hey, Gary, you booked me on that other job next week.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Tired of lying awake, tossing and turning, just hoping for a few hours of sleep? Get the sleep you crave with the one-of-a-kind Tempur-Pedic. Only Tempur-Pedic uses proprietary Tempur material that continuously adapts and responds to your body to relieve pressure, so you get deep, uninterrupted sleep all night, every night. Now's a perfect time to renew your sleep with the one-of-a-kind comfort of Tempur-Pedic and save up to $500 on adjustable mattress sets. Learn more at TempurPedic.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
It's the biggest game on sports' biggest stage. Super Bowl 55 in Tampa Bay. We set you up for the big game on FM 96.9 The Game and Westwood One.
WYGM Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Happy Hump Day, everybody. We are loud, live, and local every weekday morning, 6 to 9:30 a.m. on FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740, HD Radio 101.1-2. You can listen to us on your phone as well by downloading that free iHeartRadio app. You can listen on your Google speaker or your smart speaker. You can watch us on social media, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Just go to YouTube Open Mic and look for the Open Mic live stream, and you can see us on YouTube right now. In fact, I even remembered to click my link, so I am now on camera wearing my, I believe it's the 2000 Final Four T-shirt. What year was that, Adam Reardon, when the Gators, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Michigan State were in the Final Four? Was that 2000? Was that Billy Donovan's first?
Was that 2000 or 2001?
I can't remember.
Because Michigan State ended up winning it. If I remember,
I was there. That's all I know. I was there.
That was the Mateen Cleaves and who's it? Who's the other guy? Morris Peterson or something like that?
Yeah, Morris Peterson from Michigan State. Yeah.
North Carolina and Wisconsin were both 8 seeds, I believe, made it to the Final Four that year.
Whoa. There you have it. Is this sweatshirt older than Austin Pistolka?
No, it is not. It is close. It is almost old enough to drink at this point, though.
I do have T-shirts and sweatshirts older than you, however, and they are still in my rotation. You guys have seen me wear the 1994 NCAA Final Four T-shirt. The Lon Kruger Gators were in the Final Four that year. That's older than
that is as old as me.
That was the Gators, Arkansas, Duke, and the one that everybody forgets, Arizona.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right.
Look at you go, man.
I was there, and I wouldn't have remembered that.
Well, because you remember Florida's in there because you were obviously there to cover Florida, and then you remember in the shot by Scotty Thurman.
Who can forget?
In the Final Four, that was Scotty Thurman. That was Corliss Williamson. Gosh, who's the other guys on that? I lived in Arkansas that year, by the way. That's the reason why I remember all of it. And that wasn't even Arkansas fans' favorite team. They liked the Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, Oliver Miller.
I don't know who any of
Scotty Thurman. I remember Scotty Thurman one time at the O'Connell Center, the Arkansas was playing Florida, and Florida used to have an assistant AD and a former basketball player at Florida named Danny Sheldon, all right? And Danny Sheldon was sitting on press row right along courtside, and he was complaining about the officiating, doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing, all right, from press row, complaining about the officiating, yelling at the officials, yelling at Scotty Thurman, all right? So Scotty Thurman makes this long three-point shot, and he runs by Danny Sheldon. He goes, "How do you like me now? How do you like me now?" It was hilarious. All right, we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 96.9 The Game. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. I, of course, am Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. You just heard Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, giving us a historical perspective on the Final Four. And, of course, Austin Pistolka, the man who has no historical perspective, although he is the Sultan of Sound.
Amen to that, brother. History? I don't need that. I got Google for that, Mike, let me tell you. But I got to tell you, we got tickets. Magic versus Bulls this Friday. We're giving them away a little bit later on in the show. Listen for the sound off.
Listen for the sound off, and you can win Magic tickets. You can also win $1,000, or at least have a chance to win $1,000 twice this morning at 7:10 a.m. and 8:10 a.m. We do it every weekday morning. Make an appointment for those times, 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m. Be listening to Open Mic, and you can win $1,000. How about that? That's nice. All right, our Open Mic early morning inspirational quote of the day. From the great President Abraham Lincoln, who once said, and I quote, "Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm." End quote. Deceptive intellect, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think that means that, whatever you're doing, make sure your foundation is right. All right, make sure you're doing things for the right reason. Make sure that you're doing things properly, and then do them. Because if your foundation isn't good, like any home or like somebody who doesn't know where their feet are when they go to stand up, they're going to just topple and crumble over.
It's like a good squat. All right? You have a lot of weight on your back. If you don't have your feet right, that squat's not going up. You're not standing up if you don't have your feet right, brother.
Or like Austin was telling me the other day, since he's lost a little weight, lost the belly that kind of holds him in place when he squats, you will end up face first with a load of weight on your back.
No good.
All right, let's start with the Orlando Magic. They got Van Vleeted last night. Fred VanVleet torches the Magic for a career best 54 points last night as the fading Magic lost yet another game, this time 123-108 to the Toronto Raptors. Here's what it sounded like.
Norman Powell underneath, whips it out to Van Fleet for three. My goodness, Fred VanVleet, you got to be kidding me. That's his 10th three in 11 attempts tonight. Van Fleet with 50. Anthony's pass is going to set Van Fleet up for two more. Van Fleet able to escape two defenders, now has 54 points. A Raptors franchise high.
Okay, we need to not just regroup, we need to refresh. This has been, I don't know what we played, 22 games, I think, in 37 nights or something like that. This is year 21 for me, and I've never been through anything like this.
Okay, that was Steve Clifford saying they need to refresh. They may need to just give up. The Magic right now, good Lord, they are 2-12 in their past 14 games. They've lost their last 10 meetings with the Raptors going back to the 2019 playoffs. They've lost 4 straight. Why can't the Magic find a player like Fred VanVleet? Fred VanVleet, undrafted out of Wichita State. His 54 points against the Magic, by the way, set a Raptors single-game record. You guys want to take a guess who had the single-game record for the Raptors?
Kawhi.
Yep. DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan had 52 points for the Raptors at one point. It also, by the way, Fred VanVleet he set the record for most single game points in NBA history by an undrafted player. You want to take a guess who previously held that record?
Undrafted player in Toronto? Oh.
No. Just undrafted player overall.
Oh, wow.
Overall. I'll give you a hint. Before he set this record, he parted the Red Sea.
Oh, Moses Malone?
Moses Malone had 53 points at one point in his career. I didn't even know Moses Malone was undrafted.
I mean, he would have never crossed my mind.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you know he was undrafted?
Because he was straight out of high school guy.
Well, you couldn't draft high school guys?
I don't think so.
Huh, okay. Well, yeah, so Daryl Dawkins was never drafted? He was just signed? I'm going to
have to look that up.
Yeah, look that up. Anyway, so again, to me, last night's game, I mean, let's forget about the Magic not having, as we always lament, the Magic don't have a guy who can create his own basket or create his own shot and all of that. They have Vooch, who's a really good player, but you can't give Vooch the ball and say, go score a bucket. Fred VanVleet can do that, by the way. The Magic's major problem now, in my opinion, besides the injuries, all right, they've lost their identity. The Magic used to be one of the best defensive teams in the league, and now they're not. I'm at Fred VanVleet's lighting him up for 54 points. All right, I did a little research. I know Austin. I know that's a little foreign to you, but I did do some research before the show.
All right, go ahead.
The Magic.
Hold on 1 second. Is Mark Daniels going to tear this to shreds in a text message shortly after this? Oh, okay.
I'm sure he'll have better research than this, but this is my brief research at like 4:30 this morning, all right? The Magic were 16th in the league, or they are 16th in the league in points allowed. That's not good enough. When you're at the bottom of the league, 28th in points scored, you have to play better defense than that. The Magic are also 23rd in the league in field goal percentage defense, a key stat. Last year, the Magic were 5th in the league in that, all right? The Magic were 5th in the league in allowing points last year. This year, they're 16th. So, again, you may look at those stats. Well, they're 16th. Well, last year they were 5th, all right? 5th. That's a big – when NBA games are usually decided – by 5 or 6 points, that's a big deal when you're giving up a lot better field goal percentage. So again, to me, the Magic have lost their identity. Is that because of the injuries as well? Probably. Aaron Gordon won. What?
Yeah, it is. Of course it is.
Aaron Gordon.
I mean, look at how they were at the beginning of the season, when they were winning, when they were scoring points, and when they were defending really well. They had guys like Markelle Fultz. They had guys like Aaron Gordon. They just had guys.
Well, and you mentioned, defensively, these numbers, not being good. I mean, you're missing Jonathan Isaac. I mean,
their best defensive player.
Their best defensive player. And then you're missing out, and I'm sure the numbers aren't skewed at this point because of Aaron Gordon's loss, but they will continue to skew in that direction. Yeah, he's probably your best athlete. Big body, can move, can jump, and all that kind of stuff. Athleticism, and then you got other guys that never even got off the ground here in Mo Bamba, and then now Chuma's back, but not. We haven't seen him yet. So listen, injuries are a big part of it. There's no question about it. But let's not sort of position this like, hey, this was once a great team. This was the 7th or 8th best team in the East. All right, so there wasn't a whole lot of room for error.
I believe this team was the last undefeated team in the NBA. Thank you very much.
They were 4-0 at one point, but the reason they were even a 7 or 8 seed is because they played great defense. And now they're not. By the way, the sliver of good news is that Chuma Okeke did return to the lineup last night after missing, 16 straight games. He actually looked pretty good early. He made his first 4 shots, scored a season-high 10 points. So Chuma Okeke is back. The cavalry is here. The cavalry is here. Chuma Okeke back. And did you see what else? The Magic have, they're going to sign the G League MVP of last year. Frank Mason.
That's
Watch
right.
out.
Hell yeah,
Here comes
brother.
Frankie boy.
Get his jersey now, because it's going to be worth something someday, brother.
Hey, he's going to be the Magic's version of Fred Van Vliet.
Yeah.
Mark my words. Frank Mason. They have Fred. We have Frank. All right, straight ahead. We have a spontaneous text question about the day the music died. I'll explain next on Open Mic.
Open mic.
the pass, scoops it up and in on a reverse, and Fred VanVleet with a new franchise record, 54 points in the game.
That was the Raptors' call of Fred VanVleet torching the Magic for 54 last night. We played the Magic broadcasters earlier, David Steele and Jeff Turner, who was on our show yesterday, by the way. All right, spontaneous text question of the day.
Spontaneous text question of the day.
All right, so today, there's a little website where you can find out what national days it is today. Today is National The Day the Music Died Day, all right? And this day remembers the unfortunate and untimely death of singers like Buddy Holly, 22 years old at the time, Richie Valens, who was 17, and then J.P. Richardson, a.k.a. the Big Bopper. Come on, baby, that's what I like. All right, so these three artists died in an airplane accident February 3rd, which is today, but it was 1959 in Iowa, Clear Lake, Iowa. They'd just done a show. They were flying to their next site in Minnesota where they were going to do another show, and the day the music died was dubbed by Don McLean's classic song, American Pie. There's a line in that song about the day the music died, and Don McLean evidently was a big Buddy Holly fan, and he said he was inspired by the tragic death of Buddy Holly. A movie was made about Buddy Holly. Who played him? Gary Busey, I think.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I think Gary Busey played Buddy Holly. All right, so Buddy Holly's band was on tour. They just played this site in Iowa, Clear Lake, Iowa. They were headed to their next destination in Minnesota. For this leg of their journey, though, as I'm reading, they decided to take a charter plane rather than go with their tour bus, all right? The Big Bopper had swapped places with one of the members of the band, and one of the members of the band was Waylon Jennings, all right? The Big Bopper had swapped places with him, so Waylon Jennings did not go on the plane, or else he would have died as well. So the Big Bopper was on the plane. Tommy Alsop, another musician, he lost his place on the plane to Richie Valens in a coin toss. All right. So they flipped the coin, and Richie Valens won, but ultimately lost. So that's a little history behind the day the music died. All right, National Day the Music Died Day. All right, that's the genesis of the spontaneous text question, which is this. All right, which musician's death most deeply influenced you? Which musician's death most deeply influenced you? For me, it was when Leonard Skinner went down in the plane crash in, what was that? The 70s. I was in high school at the time. And when I lived in Jacksonville, when I worked at the Florida Times Union, I would go to Ronnie Van Zant's grave. He, of course, was the lead singer of Leonard Skinner, the songwriter, all of that. I would go to Ronnie Van Zant's grave every Christmas Eve. The cemetery was in Orange Park, and I lived probably about 5 miles from there. I would go to Ronnie Van Zant's grave every Christmas Eve and leave a single can of Budweiser beer right by his tombstone. Is that creepy?
Yes. Yes.
It's not as creepy as the people who later who later tried to dig up Ronnie Van Zant. Then they had to move his tombstone, I think, to some private cemetery.
But Mike was like, "Listen, I came here with Budweiser, so I'm not really trying to judge you guys. But what are you doing with a shovel? I don't get it. I don't get it."
All right, text in yours. Do you guys have one?
So I've always liked music, but I've never been, like a guy that kind of latches onto a favorite group. But I think when Prince passed away, I took a moment to sort of think of all because that was right in my wheelhouse of growing up, and when doves cry was like on MTV every 10 seconds. And then I learned to really grow to appreciate not that he was just a singer and an entertainer, but probably, arguably, the greatest musician of my lifetime. He could play anything, but you don't really know that growing up because you see him just on stage and like some chaps with the back ends cut out of them and stuff. And knew that he was a good guitarist. I think that maybe Prince is the guy that for me that when he passed away, maybe I subconsciously sort of reflected on like all of the music, his catalog of music that had a place in a lot of different moments in my life. So yeah, maybe Prince would be that guy for me.
Austin Pistolka?
You're
not old enough to even have
I was going to say, I mean, none of the musicians that, and I'm kind of like Adam in this, where music is not necessarily the biggest thing in my life, like the only thing I can equate to maybe just a celebrity passing was before we found out all the horrors that was the Chris Benoit situation with professional wrestling. When Chris Benoit passed away, that really hit me because he was my favorite wrestler to watch.
Okay.
So that's probably as close to it as we can get.
Okay, we're not going celebrities. We are going musicians today because it's National the Day the Music Died Day. So text in 508.
Screw your answer.
50857.
It's not the day that the figure 4 died, okay? It's the day the music died, okay?
The day the spinning toe hold died. Yeah. I thought Austin was going to come up with it. Yeah. Austin most impacted when TikTok star whoever died.
Are you kidding me? They're all like 12 years old.
Austin was most impacted the day he saw the 2020 interview with John Stossel when he asked, who's that, Sid Vicious, is this fake? Slapped the hell out of him. He goes, does that feel fake to you? I said, listen, I'm just watching on TV. It looked real to me. I want no part of that.
All right, text those in 50857. Musician's death who most impacted you. Up next, our thought-provoking daily poll. Could there ever be a woman's head coach in the National Football League? We will discuss and debate next on Open Mic. Open Mic, the best.
if everybody had to wait until after. I know everybody's going to go behind their back anyway, and agents will have agreements with people. But I think the hiring process should wait till after the season.
That was Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians talking about all this hiring going on before the Super Bowl, during the playoffs. They should wait until after the season. I see no problem with that. I sort of like that rule. By the way, I wrote a column in today's Orlando Sentinel about Tampa Bay Bucs coach Bruce Arians, and you can go read that right now if you want.
Cheap plug.
There you go.
But Mike, where can they read it?
They can read it at OrlandoSentinel.com.
There you go. There's the plug.
Yeah. And the column was about Bruce Arians, speaking of hiring, his penchant for hiring women football coaches. And to me, Bruce Arians deserves a ton of credit for many things. I mean, obviously, as I wrote in my column, he deserves credit for convincing Tom Brady to leave the dynastic New England Patriots for the beleaguered Bucs. He deserves credit for teaching Tom Brady a brand new offense that has rejuvenated the legendary quarterback's career. He deserves credit for leading the Bucs into the playoffs for the first time in 13 years and into the Super Bowl for the first time in 20 years. But in my opinion, all of those accomplishments are amazing, no doubt. But I believe the most important, impactful achievement he has made is he has had the guts and the good sense to make America realize that women can make really good football coaches. As he said during the Zoom interview the other day, it was time to knock those doors down. Now, he's not the first head coach to hire women assistant coaches, but he's the only head coach that has 2 full-time women assistants on his staff. The Bucs assistant strength and conditioning coach / physical therapist, Maral Javidafar. She's on the staff, as well as Lori Locust, who is the assistant defensive line coach. All right. And you go read the column and read the background of these women, because again, for Bruce Arians to do this, I think it's great. In fact, Bruce Arians' entire staff, it's the most diverse staff in the league. The Bucs are the only team with all black coordinators. Their offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, their defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles, their special teams coordinator, Keith Armstrong, their run game coordinator / assistant head coach, Harold Goodwin. I mean, just listening to Bruce Arians talk about why he has a diverse staff, I think is awesome. It was awesome. He essentially said, listen, players get tired of seeing the same faces and hearing the same voices. He said, if you're a good teacher, you can be a good coach. And he said some of the best teachers I've ever had were black, white, male, female, different ages, different backgrounds. And the one quote he said is this, all right? The go-to quote was, I had the go-to quote, now I've lost it. Here it is. Inclusivity and diversity are great ways to teach. I mean, the more input you get from different types of voices, the better output you get. So that was Bruce Arians, all right? And again, 2 women assistant coaches, coaching in the Super Bowl, which brings us to our thought-provoking daily poll question, Adam Reardon. Do you think there will ever be a woman's head coach in the National Football League?
I would love to see it in my lifetime, but I don't think it will happen in my lifetime. Because I think about college basketball. We've proven that Pat Summitt can coach the women, as well as any man. So why couldn't she coach a men's team? And we've yet to see that. The NFL, yes, we're making strides in that direction. But I think that the ownership groups that are around the NFL right now may be a little too old to embrace that sort of change in the league. Maybe it'll take a generation or two to finally take that step. I mean, remember, there were generations that once thought that women shouldn't vote, okay? There was once generations that didn't think everybody should be free. And it takes us a long time to get over these hurdles, sadly, because once you get on the backside of that, you look back and you go, what the hell were these people? What were they thinking? This is ridiculous. People who point to, well, woman's never played. She doesn't. I give you Charlie Weiss. Charlie Weiss has made more money coaching American football and never played it than anybody else. It has nothing to do with whether, what's the old adage? Those that can do, those that can't teach. And if you, what it essentially means is you don't have to be good at something to teach somebody else to be good at something. A lot of the greatest boxing trainers of all time were failed boxers. And so
although the pipeline, the pipeline to get into coaching is usually that you played at some level, whether it's high school, college, pros, and there's no real pipeline for women who are interested in not only coaching football, but playing football. There's no high school women's football. There's no college women's football. But what's always amazed me is people say that, oh, male athletes, that they would never accept coaching or discipline from a female coach. And I've always said to myself, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. More and more people today, including myself, including Adam Reardon, have been raised in single-parent homes where moms are the authority figure. They are the breadwinner. They are the disciplinarian. They are the mentor. They are the role model. These are all qualities that good coaches should have. In fact, I would say that many male athletes, many people of today grew up respecting a woman's guidance more than a man's. My opinion.
Well, and if we get really deep into this and we talk about the where a lot of athletes come from, single parent households,
yes,
as you mentioned, with mom or grandma raising them, and so that may be an angle too that you look at and you go, well, wait a second. On first thought, maybe these guys aren't going to respect. What does a woman know about football? But at the same time, I remember a story when Steve Spurrier Jr. Was the wide receivers coach at the Washington Redskins, and he was trying to tell receivers, like, hey, you got to get in your routes like this. And one of the receivers on the team literally looked at him, told him to shut the bleep up. What do you know? You don't know. Get out of my face, right?
What are you talking about? He was a walk-on wide receiver at Duke.
Was he? Was he at that time? What I'll say is that I do believe that there is the sentiment that, hey, you've never played this game, you don't really know. But I don't think if there was a woman coach, I don't know that a player would say that directly to the women's coach like they did to Steve Spurrier Jr.
Yeah, I don't either. Anyway, go vote at 96.9 The Game. Do you think there will ever be a woman's head coach in the National Football League? Up next, there are three things that are certain in this world: death, taxes, and Nick Saban having the #1 recruiting class in the country. That's next on Open Mic.
to persevere through adversity. But the beauty of it is not so much that I have to persevere, because that's going to take care of itself. It's making sure that whatever is taking place with Eric Bieniemy isn't becoming a distraction and us pursuing our dreams and our goals.
That was Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. One of the major storylines of the Super Bowl and Super Bowl week is Eric Bieniemy interviewed for 6 jobs over the last few weeks and got none of them. Second straight year he's interviewed for a bunch of jobs and did not get one. So that has become a major storyline at the Super Bowl. We just talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how they have 4 coordinators on their team, the only team in the league with 4 all-black coordinators. They also are the only team in the league with 2 women on their coaching staff. So good for Bruce Arians. I did a column in the Orlando Sentinel today. You can read it at orlandosentinel.com. Kudos.
Plug.
Thank you. Kudos to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Your next chance at $1,000 you just heard coming up at 7:10 a.m. this morning. We do it twice per morning on our show every weekday morning. Make an appointment for 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m. to have your chance to win $1,000. Also, we have a pair of Magic tickets we're going to give away. What game is that, Austin?
That's for this Friday. It is Magic versus Bulls.
We're probably going to give those away around 7:26 a.m. this morning. All right. Our spontaneous text question of the day has to do with this being National the Day the Music Died Day. Buddy Holly died on this day back in 1959. Not even the Bulldog was around for that. But it's National the Day the Music Died Day. There's obviously a famous line in the Bye Bye Miss American Pie about Buddy Holly and the day the music died. So the text question is a musician's death that most impacted you. You can text those into 50857. We asked Austin that question earlier, and he came up with a professional wrestler. So
listen, I'm trying to interact with you. Which is better? Oh man, this death really impacted me. Answering the question of a death that impacted me, or no, Mike, I don't care.
If it was Chris Jericho, doesn't he have a band?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
if Chris Jericho passes away, then I'll have an answer to this question for next year.
God, we had Chris Jericho on the show. I don't know. It's been 5 or 6 years ago, and it was when he was playing in some band, and he's from Canada. All right, so I was just sort of joking around, and I said, "Who's the greatest Canadian rock band?" And you know, he said Rush, obviously, and I go, "You're crazy." I go, Bachman Turner Overdrive is the greatest. And he got all indignant and was like, you know, and he's got a little arrogant quality about him anyway.
A little?
Yeah. So he was getting all indignant, trying to school me on music, and you know, I played along, but I was actually kidding. Although I do like Bachman Turner Overdrive.
First of all, any Canadian who doesn't name Bryan Adams as their greatest musical treasure, I have zero respect for.
All right, somebody texted in John Lennon, obviously the famous Beatle when he passed away. That's a good one. Yeah. Prince, somebody texted in. That's the one Adam voted for. Somebody texted in members of Leonard Skinner. That's the ones I voted for. And Bon Scott, former lead singer of AC/DC. How did he die? I don't
know.
Can you Google that, Austin?
Sure.
Michael Jackson. Somebody texted in the greatest ever and getting ready for his farewell tour. It was a huge shock. Our texter texted in. Somebody texted in, I was impacted most when Orlando Sports Talk died and we started talking about boomer music. I'll have you know, Mr. Smart Alecky texter, that this very show, the Open Mic Morning Show, with Mike Bianchi, Austin Pastolka, Adam Reardon, we were voted one of the best morning sports talk show radio shows, not in the state of Florida, but in this nation by the esteemed group of Barrett Media, whatever that is.
Yeah.
What is Barrett?
He basically keeps his fingers on the pulse of what's happening throughout the sports all around the country. I think today they're releasing top midday shows around the country.
Wait, hold on. The morning shows weren't the main event?
They were, yeah, but that was first, right out of the gate.
That was first.
Right out of the gate. Because,
yeah.
You don't want to save the best for last?
Well, I mean, during the daytime, we're the first. He probably kept it time sensitive chronologically.
All right. So we were voted one of the best, or not voted, I guess. We were named one of the best morning sports radio
There was a
shows.
panel. There was a panel and some scoring in there. There were some votes.
So we were voted.
Yeah, we were
So
voted.
it was like the college football playoff committee.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
We had some people. We had some people in the room, rooting for us.
Okay. By the way, I was sad to see yesterday as well that Jeff Bezos, my doppelganger who founded Amazon, he's stepping down as the CEO of Amazon. He's had that role since founding the company nearly 30 years ago. We do have a supplemental poll up since Jeff Bezos is my doppelganger. Which celebrity do I most look like? We've got Jeff Bezos. We've got Pitbull. Who else did we have?
It was also, I've got another tweet up for the front page of the internet. So
There was a Jeff. Was there Jeff Van Gundy in there?
Jeff Van Gundy's in there.
Yeah. And Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel was the other one. So, go vote on that. Who would you guys vote for on that one?
Your face. I mean, your face is the shape of Howie Mandel's, but you resemble more Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
kind of a combination of the two. Your face isn't as thin as Bezos, but your facial qualities, especially should you ever shave the goatee there, and you went.
Although if Jeff Van Gundy was completely bald, I think that would be the winner.
The hair is the deciding factor there.
Yeah, he has a little bit of hair on top of his head, not much, but a little bit. And by the way, one last thing. Shame on you, Austin Pistolka. Shame on you. We talked about the fans that got kicked out of the game the other night for having a verbal altercation with LeBron, and one of the fans was
Courtside Karen.
Courtside Karen. But as we're talking about this yesterday, all right, you being Mr. Internet, in fact, you're about to do your internet segment, all right, you didn't tell me that this woman, Courtside Karen, whose real name is Juliana Carlos, is an Instagram model, I guess you'd say.
Who isn't? Who isn't an Instagram model?
If you've got floor seats and you're done up like it's your wedding night, just not in a wedding dress, what do you think she does for a living?
Okay, but we're talking about, why this happened and should it have happened. Mark Daniels brought up a good point yesterday on the bridge. This was all staged. It was all staged so she could get Instagram followers. Her Instagram, I think they went up thousands of followers yesterday.
I'm sure it did.
That's all she was doing. I mean, if you're an Instagram influencer,
hold on. What are you yelling at me about?
You should have told me you should have told me she was an Instagram influencer, and I would have been able to decipher that this was just staged. That this whole thing was just staged.
Have you heard more of the quotes that have come out, or at least like the alleged quotes that LeBron? I think LeBron admitted, or somebody said that they're the only thing that they could really pick up on the recording, because she says that he was really nasty to them, and is that he told him to sit his old steroid behind down, or sit down, sit around, and like if you see this guy on Instagram, he's like, what's he in his like late 50s or early 60s, and he is roided up to the max. I mean, dude is just like.
So what did LeBron say? Sit your steroid-ridden.
Yeah, and apparently they've gone back on this guy's Instagram, and he hates LeBron. So this guy has like always had it out. There's a picture of LeBron sitting on the scorer's table getting ready to check in, and he's got a picture of LeBron. He goes, his fat butt almost sat on my wallet and phone. You know what I mean? So this guy's had it out for LeBron, as there are a lot of people, and he's like, not to say that this is all politically driven, but he's certainly way right of center, if you will. So I'm sure LeBron's social justice takes don't sit well with this guy either. So there's a lot in here to unpack if you want to do the
deep
digging.
dive, the digging, you know.
Yeah, so
the
we
true
do have
crime podcast of it.
We do have a supplemental poll on this as well. How pathetic would it be if courtside Karen staged a verbal altercation with LeBron James just so she could get more followers on Instagram? Austin, you probably don't think that's pathetic at all, do you?
Oh, no, that's incredibly pathetic.
Oh, it is?
That's incredibly pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
if-
I'm a man who is a cheap plug artist who wants you to go to my Instagram at Radio Guy Austin to go follow me. I want that, but I'm not going to cause a ruckus. I'm not going to get kicked out of anything to then gain that following.
Austin, if you were on your Radio Row, if this was like a real life Super Bowl and we said, "Hey, listen, go," and you can do whatever you want, you wouldn't ask a question of Tom Brady that was so silly that everybody was talking about it, and then they show your face. And
I would absolutely do that, but I'm not getting kicked out. I'm not swearing at somebody.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying that would be the last question you ever asked, and they would actually escort you out. But for asking that question, you would raise your. Of course you would. Don't judge courtside Karen if this is true, because you would do the same exact thing.
Those are two completely different situations.
Yeah, you would get kicked out of the
People would love me. If nobody likes courtside Karen. People would love at Radio Guy Austin on Instagram.
And what about TikTok?
At Actually Average on TikTok. We just had a TikTok blow up for 15,000 views, Mike.
There you have it.
Who'd you cuss out for that?
Let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
What you reading there, honey?
It's very exciting stuff, you see. It's the front page of the internet.
Here we go with the front page of the internet. Before I get to that, the death of Bon Scott is believed to be a heroin overdose. For those of you who were wondering. Here we go, though. Front page of the internet, starting off on YouTube's trending page. Number one video right now comes from SpaceX, and it's Starship SN9 high altitude flight test. It was streamed yesterday, 2.9 million views, and man, people love some space stuff, don't they? Space is fun, especially SpaceX. And
I was in the grocery store yesterday. I like my own personal space, please and thank you. Back up, lady.
The other video, speaking of space things, is that Mass Effect, a video game that takes place in space, Legendary Edition official reveal trailer has 1.1 million views. The video for Mass Effect was released at the same time or closely related to the SpaceX video, so I'm wondering if they planned that a little bit. A little marketing 101 there.
Wouldn't they, instead of dropping it, wouldn't they call that a launch?
Nice.
See what I did?
Yeah. Well done. Happy birthday today to TV actress, former star of General Hospital, Kelly Sullivan.
Oh, Kelly.
What did she play, Laura or something?
She played Kate Howard and Connie Falconeri.
Yeah.
No, she's got to be 43.
She's got to be 65.
She's 43 years old.
Oh, okay.
That's why there wasn't really anyone super famous today.
Oh.
So I was like, General Hospital. Yes, I found someone who was 43.
I figured she was older. If you're old enough to play two different characters on General Hospital, they kill you off, and then you got to come back as somebody else. You got to at least look a hell of a lot older. But quick, change your costume. You're a new lady now.
Then trending all across the internet. I sent both of you guys a photo this morning of Resident Evil 8 character Lady Dimitrescu. It's a tough name. Sorry. She is a tall lady who is a vampire, and in this horror game comes to get you and kill you and all that sort of stuff, right? Well, the internet is simping over her. Mike, do you know what it means to simp?
drooling.
Yes, effectively. It's like being teacher's pet, but for
girl.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So all of the internet is simping for,
or for somebody you're attracted to.
Or for somebody you're attracted to.
It doesn't have to be gender.
Yeah. Are in love with this woman, and of course we all thought, oh, it'll just finish with people like dressing up as her for cosplays for TikTok and all that sort of stuff. But then the creator of Resident Evil took this one step further and said, oh, internet, you like tall, strong women? Well, guess what? We're going to tell you how tall she really is. And with her hat and high heels, she is approximately 9 feet 6 inches tall. And all of the internet said, please step on me, was their response.
Please step on me.
Wow.
I just need people out there to do it. So this is a video game character,
This is a
right?
video game character.
I need everybody who has my...
this isn't like a real person?
It's not a real... The picture he sent you is not a real person. It's a video game. So if you have my phone contacts right now, my cell phone, the VIP text message line.
Nice.
I need you to shoot me a text on whether or not you think that this video game character is hot. Okay?
I don't.
Okay. Because if you say yes, I think this video game character is hot, then I will delete you from my phone because you and I can no longer be friends. It's a video game character, not hot.
Adam Reardon, delete me from your phone
hot,
right
dude.
now.
Whatever. You've got a hot wife. What are you talking about?
I do have a hot
You
wife.
have a hot wife. What are you looking at video game
Clearly,
characters
I
for?
like tall, powerful women.
I mean, good Lord, this isn't even a real person, and you've got the hots for this. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. At least she's not a deer, Mike.
Yeah, Clarice. I forgot about her.
Weirdos. Hold on. Let me tell you something. When the FBI comes in here and starts grabbing computers, believe me, I'm going like, these guys
These
right
guys
here.
over here.
These right here. Have mine. Listen, mine's got soccer videos on it. I don't know what these guys got going on.
All right, that is the front page of the internet. All right, so Alabama wins the national championship, obviously. Nick Saban's 7th national championship. Surprise, surprise, today's National Signing Day. We had the early National Signing Day back in December. That's the big one, of course. But this is the traditional National Signing Day in February. It's the last recruits are going to sign today, and all projections show that Alabama, for the 9th time in the past 11 years, will sign the number 1 recruiting class. Alabama, I'm looking at the 24/7 rankings. That's the ones I usually go by. Ohio State enters the day, number 2, followed by Georgia, followed by LSU, followed by Clemson, and then Oregon, number 6. In fact, Oregon, under head coach Mario Cristobal, Rivals has Oregon ranked number 3. Oregon has had 4 straight top 15 recruiting classes under Mario Cristobal, who, when he didn't follow Willie Taggart to Florida State, when Willie Taggart went to Florida State from Oregon, that was Willie Taggart's downfall, wasn't it? That Mario Cristobal didn't come with him.
I don't know if it was his downfall. I mean, there were a couple other things working against him, and you know, I don't know that Mario Cristobal would have necessarily saved his job. As a matter of fact, what might have happened would have been Mario Cristobal would be the head coach at FSU right now if they'd have blown Willie Taggart out of town. They're like, well, let's keep the guy that can recruit really well. So. I don't know if that would have saved his job there, and given the context of kind of what he inherited and how quickly they were ready to get rid of him, at the first, the first.
Although wasn't Mario Cristobal, wasn't he the offensive coordinator as well?
At Oregon? At Oregon, yeah. Yes, I think so.
So again, I think the original plan was for Willie Taggart to bring Mario Cristobal and Jim Leavitt, I believe, with him to Florida State. Well, Oregon decided, you know what, we're going to hire Mario Cristobal. So that sort of foiled Willie Taggart's plan, and then Willie Taggart started out being the offensive coordinator at Florida State for that first year, and it was absolutely horrid. And then he turned the play calling over midseason. So again, I don't know if Mario Cristobal would have saved Willie Taggart's job, but he certainly has it rolling. He must be a pretty damn good coach / recruiter if he's got it rolling like this at Oregon, right?
Yeah, no, he's a great recruiter. I think most people, sort of recognize that, and he's been able to do it at Oregon. Remember, Oregon's recruiting budget, is probably rivals that of anybody else in the country. So they can do that part. Now, can he get the wins that Oregon needs? Can he get Oregon into the playoffs? Can he get Oregon to run undefeated through the Pac-12 while SEC and Big Ten teams are doing it in their conference? I mean, that'll be the question mark. And then, how long does Oregon and Oregon's, administration and fan base want to sit around and wait for those 12-0 or 11-0 type seasons?
You know who else can recruit? And he's ranked really high in the recruiting rankings, number 7 according to 24/7. Jimbo Fisher in Texas A&M. Good Lord! I mean, we just talked about Florida State. Jimbo Fisher, he's gone to Texas A&M, and he has turned them into a recruiting powerhouse. It shouldn't shock anybody. He's had 3 straight top 10 recruiting classes at Texas A&M. He was a hell of a recruiter at Florida State as well. So Jimbo Fisher, having him a recruiting class as well. We'll get into some of the local recruiting classes as the show progresses, but straight ahead we have the sound off. What does that mean? It means we are going to hear from the newsmakers throughout the sports world. But first, we have your chance at $1,000.
Now,
contest. Football season almost over, except for the big game coming up this Sunday. Pick the perfect big game score for your shot to win $50,000. This promotion is made possible by Twin Peaks and Miracle Toyota. Head to 969thegame.com/contest right now to enter your prediction. Austin.
Tom's Tom, man. He's the same. He's been preparing for this, his whole life, this whole year, especially with this group of guys he's with, and he's the same guy.
That's Danny Amendola, longtime teammate of Tom Brady's. Danny, you don't know Danny. You know Danny Amendola.
Yeah,
Come on
I know
now.
who Danny. Yeah, another receiver that Tom Brady made great or made famous.
That is correct. Well, he was asked if Tom Brady is different for Super Bowl week, and he says no. Tom is Tom, which should not surprise any of us, but it still kind of surprises me that Tom Brady, even though he's been in 10 of these, doesn't at least seem a little more up for a Super Bowl.
What? This is like a regular season game for him. You just mentioned he's been to 10 of them, for crying out loud. Everybody else has butterflies on the day of the game, and they're all nervous because they're playing in the Super Bowl. And Brady gets up, yawns. Oh God, I gotta play another game today. Oh my God, this is Super Bowl, really? So, yeah, Tom Brady, obviously, with his experience and with his know-how in the Super Bowl, I'm sure that a lot of people aren't talking about that, but Brady's experience in Super Bowls and preparing for Super Bowls, that's another plus for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I'm sure he's rubbing off on some of the other players.
I thought that was the missing piece. Then Jason did such a great job of adding pieces as we went along. And Rob, Leonard, Antonio. So, yeah, I thought it was possible, and that was our goal, because I knew how good a football team we had and what we were missing. And we were missing that belief that we were good enough.
So that's Bruce Arians, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sure, at the end he says the missing piece was belief, but the question, though, was the quarterback the missing piece to the Super Bowl run? And to that he said yes. Quarterback was the missing piece. Another last-second shot at Jameis Winston, wasn't it?
Well, I
don't think he was thinking Jameis Winston.
I think look, is Tom Brady better than Jameis Winston? The answer is yes. That's not a shot at Jameis Winston. That's just kudos and credit to arguably the greatest quarterback we've ever seen in the NFL. And look, Jameis Winston's numbers weren't bad when you looked at him. The problem is the bad number. The one number that you can't be bad at, interceptions, is something he was horrible at. And Tom Brady isn't horrible at that. And Tom Brady's having a career year this year. I believe that Jameis Winston could have the offensive numbers that Brady had. He just would have 3 times the amount of interceptions, therefore killing drives, therefore leaving points on the field, therefore losing games that the Bucs aren't losing now with Tom Brady. So the answer is no, not a shot at Jameis Winston. More of a lifting up of what it is that Tom Brady brought to the table.
I wonder if Jameis Winston's going to wind up he didn't even play hardly at all last year for the Saints. Is he going to wind up like Blake Bortles? Is he just going to be like bouncing around as a backup quarterback for the rest of his career? I wonder about that.
The only way he doesn't is if the place he lands and ends up, there's an injury and then he's forced in and he can sort of resurrect his career. Otherwise, the idea that somebody's out there going, man, we need a quarterback. What's that Jameis Winston up to right now?
He's got a certain enthusiasm about him, a childish enthusiasm, where you could be playing in the backyard, you could be playing, at the CVS parking lot, you could be playing in one of these beautiful stadiums that we have, and it's all the same. You're getting the same picture.
So that's Andy Reid, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, talking about Patrick Mahomes and his certain enthusiasm that he has for playing the game of football. Now, Mike, as compared to Tom Brady, apparently yesterday was all talk about Tom Brady. But my question to you is, I wasn't really following football when Tom Brady first started and started going to Super Bowls. is Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, did they have the same enthusiasm, or was Tom Brady always just kind of hated?
No. Tom Brady has always been the sort of the robotic, quarterback who spews the company line and, preparation. Again, Tom Brady's like, he would just spew Bill Belichick's company line when he was in Super Bowl. But I do love the fact that Andy Reid talks about Patrick Mahomes and his boyish enthusiasm about playing football. Doesn't matter where he is, on the sandlots or in a Super Bowl stadium. You know who has that same boyish quality all of these years later? Gene Frenette, sports columnist of the Florida Times Union, a friend of the show, obviously. He's been a sports writer for, 40, longer than I have, 40 years. Gene Frenette, whenever he covers a big event, you would think it was the first time he's ever covered it. He gets so excited about covering a sporting event. He loves the fact that he's a sports writer. I think we all need to keep some of that boyish enthusiasm in our jobs.
I think we got a lot for it. I think, you look at the picks and things like that. I think we came out pretty good. To this point, I think we can say that, we should feel pretty good about it.
That's Barry Sanders talking about the trade where Matthew Stafford got shipped off to the Rams for a plethora of picks and Jared Goff, which, it is what it is.
Did he just say we? Is he calling the Lions we?
He is. He is saying we, the Lions, and Barry Sanders.
After he quit on them all those years ago?
Well, time heals all wounds, apparently. So
I would have quit on the Lions, too.
Yeah. But we haven't really talked about this trade a whole lot. Adam, what do you think about this trade, and are the Detroit Lions winners in this one?
I think they got the worst end of the deal when it comes to the quarterback, that main piece of the puzzle that we're looking at. But they're a bad football team. And what do bad football teams need? They need change, and they need a lot of it. And they need younger change, and hopefully
they need draft picks.
Right. I mean, so with these draft picks, you hope that you can do what the Cowboys did, what the Patriots did. These great franchises that turned themselves around from fledgling franchises into great ones by drafting properly. Now, do they have the GM in place? Do they have the coaching staff in place for all this? I don't know. They downgraded at the quarterback position, that I believe. But can they put enough talent now around Jared Goff and then put some talent in the defensive side of the football to sort of shore things up and to start improving and maybe become attractive to some free agents in the future? I don't know, but that's the plan. So I would say that because of their needs, I think the Rams got the best end of this deal. I think the Rams with Matt Stafford are going to really compete for the Super Bowl title next year, and the Lions over the next 10 years still a coin flip.
Sound off. I was basically just working out every day. Even when we went on the road games, we had gym time, so I would get in there and shoot, and hopefully I can continue to build off of this.
So that's Chuma Okeke, the man who returned from injury last night for the Orlando Magic. He ended up scoring 10 points and had 4 fouls in 6 minutes. That's getting your money's worth when it comes for minute-to-minute stuff. Mike, very quickly here, we got a short time, but do you like what you see one night in from Chuma Okeke, or, are you like, he's going to get injured soon enough, so it doesn't really matter?
Again, it's hard to be enthused right now with the Orlando Magic. They're 2-12 in their last 14 games. They allowed Fred VanVleet to score 54 points on them last night. Was I impressed with Chuma Okeke? He made his first 4 shots last night. I'm impressed that he's out on the floor. Yes, whenever he's actually playing, whether he plays well or not, just the fact that he's playing, yes, I'm impressed with Chuma Okeke last night.
Sound off. That's the sound off for today, which means... Oh, hell yeah! We're talking Orlando Magic ticket giveaway. You want to see them take on the Bulls this Friday at the Amway Center at 7 o'clock. Be sure to call in right now, 407-916-8255. If you can't go to the game but want to listen to it, you can hear it on 96.9 The Game or 104.5 The Beat. But call in right now, 407-916-8255 for your chance at tickets. Mike, tell them what's coming up on the rest of the show.
Well, on this National Signing Day, should UCF fans be impressed or depressed with their signing class? That's next. Our spontaneous text question of the day. It is National The Day the Music Died Day. This day remembers the untimely death of Buddy Holly when he was just a young 22-year-old rock and roll star. Richie Valens was just 17 at the time. And J.P. Richardson, a.k.a. the Big Bopper, he was 28 at the time. These three artists died in an airplane accident February 3rd, 1959. Even before the Bulldog was on this earth. The day the music died was dubbed by one Don McLean in a classic song, American Pie, which McLean said was in part inspired by the tragic death of Buddy Holly, who was his boyhood musical hero. Remember the verse from American Pie? But February made me shiver with every paper I deliver. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died. Bye, bye. Okay, I can't sing anymore. Anyway.
Anymore?
So that, yeah. That was the verse, all right? So the spontaneous text question, musician's impact or musician's death that most impacted you, our listener. You can text those in the 50857. We're getting some good ones. John Lennon has come up a lot. Joe Diffie, the Pickup Man. What was his song? The Pickup Man? Was that the name of the song?
Oh, yeah, Pickup Man by Joe Diffie. Sang that as an audition for show choir when I was in high school.
I'm sure Adam, being the hip-hop fan, Tupac Shakur, I'm sure that was a major one for you. Adam, was it?
Well, still alive, though.
Oh, depending on who you're at, the Illuminati. I struggle with Tupac because he gained such great fame as like the thug life rapper. But I remember Tupac Shakur before he went commercial, Mike, and this is a true story.
You remember when he was one Pac?
He actually was a backup dancer for the rap group Digital Underground, whose famous song, The Humpty Dance. He was a background dancer for that group before he became a rapper. And so I've always struggled with his thug life persona, knowing that he was breaking down dance moves to the Humpty Dance before all that. I go, it's not as thug life as you made it sound.
There you have it. Kurt Cobain, somebody just texted in. Somebody, Azalea Park Bob, one of our favorite texters, he texted in, I was deeply impacted last year when Open Mic broke the news of Bobby Darin's death. Oh, the great Bobby Darin. Splish splash, I was taking a bath. Yeah. Along about the side of the night. Glenn Miller during World War II, somebody texted in. The whole country cried. The big band there. Who will ever forget Glenn Miller and Tommy Dorsey with the Andrews sisters singing backup? Oh, that was music.
Glenn Miller's younger brother, Steve Miller, though. The Joker was a great song. I like that.
Yeah, and Jet Airliner was a really good one. Patsy Cline, somebody texted in. Our listeners are aging themselves here. Yeah. Keep those coming in to 508.
Mozart. I remember when Mozart finally kicked the bucket.
I remember Caveman banging on a rock. Yeah,
never forget Ugg. Yeah.
Og banging two sticks together. Yeah,
now that's what I call music, brother.
All right, we talked about National Signing Day earlier. Alabama once again having the #1 recruiting class. Today is the final National Signing Day. We had the early National Signing Day in December. Today is the traditional signing day in February. UCF, all right? I want to commend UCF. They don't have a coach. They don't have an AD. But their recruiting class is still, according to 24/7 Sports, which is the one I go by, all right? Their recruiting class is still ranked number 54 in the country. That's 4th, by the way, in the American Athletic Conference. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the Knights signed 19 commitments during the early signing period, with 10 players, by the way, already on campus, according to Matt Murschell's story in the Orlando Sentinel. But they've actually got commitments over the last week. I told you the other day, there's a 4-star athlete from Ua Beach, Hawaii, Titus Mokiao Atamalala. All right?
That's got to be pretty close. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. He's a 4-star recruit. All right. He committed to UCF this past weekend. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel coming to UCF. Mackenzie Milton before that. There is a Hawaiian pipeline into UCF. Well, this guy, this 4-star recruit, which is a higher star rating than UCF normally gets, this is the 4th player from the state of Hawaii to sign with UCF, and I think he will become the 10th highest rated player to sign with UCF since 2000. All right. So this 4-star recruit committed to UCF. We also told you the story about Zion Thomas, the defensive end from Delray Beach, Atlantic High School, who said he still plans to sign with UCF. I believe he's a 4-star as well. He's the one who, a day after Josh Heupel got fired, or the Orlando Sentinel got in touch with him, and he didn't know that Josh Heupel, did I say got fired? Josh Heupel left. He didn't even know that Josh Heupel had taken the job at Tennessee. Yeah. So, anyway.
Well, I think that's think one of the things that's working for UCF here is that early signing period. A lot of other schools have already filled up their class, so it's not like there's a lot of options for these guys now to go find a new home because there may not be places to land for these guys. So the idea, which you thought was crazy, like, hey, this school doesn't even have a head coach. Who are you committing to? The truth of the matter is there may not be anywhere else to commit to. So, they are where they are.
Well, these 4-star, you know what? Go read Austin's very well-written blog at 969thegame.com. Austin, why don't you explain what you wrote?
So the reason why people are still committing to UCF is because it's Danny White's last gift to UCF, the brand. When there's no one else left, Danny White. That's right. Absolutely. Danny White helped raise
Randy Shannon?
Randy Shannon has been there for years. You're telling him he's the reason why they all of a sudden got a 4-star recruit? No, that's not why. You want to know why? He's
holding it together.
No, listen, he's holding it together, and he's reaping the benefits of a good brand, okay? That's what's happening here.
Hell, maybe we ought to give Dylan Gabriel the most credit. He's recruiting 4-stars from Hawaii.
Maybe.
Maybe Dylan Gabriel's maybe he should. You want to talk about name and likeness, getting money for name and likeness? How about giving Dylan Gabriel a stipend for recruiting coordinator?
Okay. He can add that to the check he's going to get for the new NCAA college football game coming out.
That's a fact error, Austin Pastolka. It's not the NCAA football game. It's the EA Sports
college football game. You're right.
Because there's going to be no players that look like Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be all just generic players out there playing in the football game.
Well, that's what happened. With NCAA 14. But,
wait, you're telling me that this game isn't going to, like, Florida's starting quarterback this year isn't going to be number 5, African American?
No, it'll be Bob Jones.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
It's weird how that works out. How they're all like in the same height and weight as these guys, just like
Actually,
they did last
what they're going to do. They're going to go back and get players from the past who really wouldn't care if they got paid anything for their like Gator quarterback John Brantley. Noah Brandeis will be the Gator quarterback. You don't have to pay him anything.
instead of like, hey, I'm going on Gator Greats mode. I'm going to go on Gator's cheap mode. I'm going to go to the cheap mode. Like guys that were willing to have their name and likeness on here for a very, very small price.
They all got cameos.
I'm gonna sub in Gavin Dickey. Hold on one second.
FSU quarterback. Who would be FSU's quarterback? Dan Kendra.
Drew Weatherford. I'm going to put Drew Weatherford in the game. Hold on. The Drew Weatherford versus Kenny Kelly Florida State Miami matchup is going to be huge. I can't wait for that game.
Anyway, go vote on all of our polls as well at 96.9 The Game and at The Game Jacks, which we're going to get to here momentarily because we have the blast coming your way next on Open Mic.
96.9 The
Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in the megalopolis we know as Central Florida. Also, we are Open Mic, voted one of the best morning sports radio shows in the entire country yesterday by the esteemed group of, what's the name of the esteemed group again?
Barrett Sports Media, and I am expecting my check in the mail.
Barrett Sports Media. Adam Reardon, you are well cued on these sorts of things. You know that Barrett Sports Media, probably the #1 assessor and evaluator of sports radio talent in this country. Is that right?
Yeah. There's somebody that is the online equivalent today that I think people pay attention to. I used to get something called Talkers Magazine, which was about all talk radio, the all talk radio format. But he is online to the sports, the sports genre, what that magazine was to the entire talk media market. So yeah, no,
he's a sports talk radio guru.
Yep,
sports talk radio guru.
Yep, dialed in, no question about it.
And we were voted by him and his panel as one of the #1 morning sports radio shows in this country. Austin, give us a standing ovation.
Oh, a standing ovation. I got you covered.
Give us a standing ovation. Damn right.
Well earned.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I'd like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank God. And I'd like to thank my wife for supporting me through all of this.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Your next chance at $1,000 on this award-winning radio show coming up at 8:10 a.m. this morning. We do it twice per morning. We give you a chance to win $1,000. Make an appointment for 7:10 a.m. each morning and 8:10 a.m. each morning. That's called appointment radio. That's one of the reasons we're one of the top radio shows in this country, because you set appointments to listen to us. By the way, just been announced that the UCF quarterbacks in the new EA Sports college football game, Kyle Israel and Pete DeNovo.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Actually, Kyle Israel was pretty good. Pete DeNovo, not so much. In fact, Pete DeNovo, I believe Pete DeNovo's the guy. George O'Leary's worst mistake as a on-field mistake as a football coach at UCF. They were opening the season. I was there in Ireland with Penn State. Remember when they played Penn State in Ireland several years ago? So they were opening the season, and they had the quarterback everybody expected to be the starting quarterback was Justin Holman, all right? But I guess Justin Holman hadn't had a good fall practice. So George O'Leary decided, I'm going to start Pete DeNovo, all right? And Pete DeNovo was absolutely horrendous in that game. He started the first half, and he was so bad that O'Leary pulled him out and put Justin Holman in the second half, and Justin Holman almost rallied UCF to a victory over Penn State, which led everyone to believe, O'Leary, you idiot! Why didn't you start Justin Holman to begin with? So, yeah, that is the legacy of one Pete DeNovo at UCF. The legacy of Fred VanVleet, that was made last night against the Orlando Magic. He absolutely torched the Magic for a career-best 54 points last night as the fading Magic lost yet another game, this time 123-108 to the Raptors. Here's what it sounded like.
Norman Powell underneath, whips it out to VanVleet for three. My goodness, Fred VanVleet. You got to be kidding me. That's his 10th three in 11 attempts tonight. VanVleet with 50. Anthony's pass is going to set VanVleet up for two more. VanVleet able to escape two defenders, now has 54 points. A Raptors franchise high.
Okay, we need to not just regroup, we need to refresh. This has been, I don't know what we played, 22 games, I think, in 37 nights or something like that. This is year 21 for me, and I've never been through anything like this.
That was Steve Clifford, the Orlando Magic's coach, saying we need to regroup, refresh. Maybe they need to retreat, right? Maybe they need to retreat, refresh. Again, they've lost 4 straight now. They're 2-12 in their past 14 games. They've already lost their last 10 meetings with the Raptors dating back to the 2019 playoffs. And Fred VanVleet, why can't they discover a Fred VanVleet somewhere? The guy was undrafted out of Wichita State. This is his 5th year in the league. His 54 points against the Magic. That set a Raptors single-game record, so previously held by DeMar DeRozan, who had 52 at one point. Also, the most points in NBA history by an undrafted player. Moses Malone, I guess, was undrafted out of high school, or maybe he was drafted into the ABA or something and he wasn't drafted into the NBA. Did we ever Google how Moses Malone was not drafted? Because Moses Malone once scored 53 points as an undrafted player, at least according to the story I'm reading.
Googling it right now.
You Google whether actually, we'll just Google it later. Let's pause right now for station identification and get right to the blast.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, W245CL Deltona. This is FM 96.9 The Game. You feel that?
I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just hook it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
That's right, it's time for the blast. Mike, just so you know, 1974, Moses Malone drafted to the ABA.
Not into the NBA. So
Right.
he doesn't really count as an undrafted player.
I guess not. But
Yeah.
the blast today brought to you by Frank Gay Services. You need an electrician or a plumber now? Go to frankgayservices.com. That's the Frank Gay way, frankgayservices.com. We start off with the open mic thought-provoking daily poll.
Actually, why don't you start out with the Magic poll, sort of carry the
Like
flow.
I said, supplemental poll number 2. After Fred VanVleet of the Raptors torched the Orlando Magic for 54 points last night, have the Magic lost their identity as an elite defensive team? Yes or no?
Yeah. I mean, good Lord, Fred VanVleet, who, again, he's a hell of a player and a great scorer, but he scores 54 last night. The Magic, again, Steve Clifford is known as a coach who coaches great defense, and I'm not blaming this on Steve Clifford. I mean, we've talked about the Magic's injury issues ad nauseum through the course of this season, but they are 16th in the league right now in points allowed. That's not good enough for the Magic. Why? Because they're at the bottom of the league in points scored. They're 28 in points scored. Last year, the Magic were 5th in the league in allowing points. This year, they're 16th. Last year, the Magic were 13th in the league in field goals allowed. This year, they're 23rd. Those 10 spots make a huge difference between wins and losses in the NBA.
Yeah, they've lost their reputation as an elite defensive team. As Mike mentioned, they went from 5 to 16 in points given up. They're way down in field goal percentage against. And they've also lost their identity as a competent offensive team because they're amongst the worst in the league at scoring points. So, listen, if you're going to be really bad at scoring points, you better be really, really good at stopping teams from scoring points. If you ain't good at either one of those two things, your record looks a lot like the Magic.
Then you're 2-12 in your last 14 games.
That's exactly it.
94% of the audience says yes. Oh, gosh, 94%.
Glad to see the Clifford household up early, at least voting in on that 6% over there. Yes, we were still elite defenders. They were still defensive coach, but that does a great job.
Yeah. Thought-provoking daily poll. With the Tampa Bay Buccaneers having 2 women assistant coaches on their staff, do you believe there will ever be a woman head coach in the NFL? Yes or no?
I do. And we'll talk about this more later, but I mean, what do we always say about some head coaches who are, like Urban Meyer? He's a great CEO. He's not a coordinator, but he's a great CEO. Well, guess what? Women can be great CEOs too, and the fact of the matter is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do have 2 assistant coaches who are women, the only team in the league, and I really think that with the NFL has a real initiative now to start hiring more women in leadership positions. I'm talking about coaching, and I'm talking about front office. Yes, is it going to happen in the next 5 years? Maybe not. But in the next 10 to 15, perhaps.
It'll happen eventually. You know what I hope to see happen? That Greg Popovich steps away from the Spurs here over the next year or two and hands the reins over to Becky Hammon. And having the NBA has been pretty progressive as well when it comes to female hiring. That would be a great first step in allowing these leagues to say, you know what? All right, well, we can do this too. And then in the NFL, continue the progression. I mean, obviously, you're not going to jump from an assistant defensive line coach to a head coach. But maybe the progression now is, sort of like what we've seen with African-American coaches. At one point there were none. Now we've got, some head coaches and then, a lot of coordinators and whatnot. Continue that ascension up the ranks and to do a job that, yes, a woman can do.
With 50.5%, so very
50 point what?
50.5%.
Okay.
No.
No.
There will not be.
That's what happened. You let them vote, and then all of a sudden they want all the jobs. 50%. That's embarrassing.
Supplemental poll number 1. Going into this National Signing Day, should UCF fans be impressed or depressed that the Knights have the 4th-ranked recruiting class in their conference, even without a head coach?
I'm going impressed. I mean, they haven't had a head coach for a week. They're actually still getting commitments from 4-star recruits, even though they don't have a head coach. I'm interested to see all the players who signed today. But yeah, credit to Randy Shannon, the interim coach, for holding it together. Credit to Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback, for recruiting 4-star commitments out of Hawaii. So, and as Austin wrote in his blog so astutely, credit to Danny White for helping create the UCF brand that seems to be recruiting itself.
I'll say, look, we'll give them credit because they did get a commitment at a point that there was no head coach. So I mean,
right, a
literally
4-star,
zero
one of their highest commitments ever.
I'm like, literally. I mean, who does that guy call? I mean, who does he call to commit? Like,
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel, the recruiting coordinator.
Hey, Dylan, just tell everybody I'm coming. Whoever that guy is that walks through that door, tell him I'm coming. I guess you call Randy Shannon, and then hope to God that he's retained by the next head coach if he's not going to be the head coach. Yeah, I don't know, but that's impressive. That part's impressive to me. I don't know. Heck, I wouldn't even know who to call if I was that kid.
63% of the vote says they are impressed.
Okay.
Supplemental poll number 3. How pathetic would it be if courtside Karen staged a verbal altercation with LeBron James just so she could get more followers on Instagram?
So pathetic!
All caps, exclamation points. Pathetic, somewhat pathetic, or not pathetic?
Yeah, the first one. Say it again.
So pathetic!
Yeah, and what's also so pathetic is when we were talking about this story yesterday, Austin Pastolka, Mr. Front Page of the Internet, did not tell me that this woman, what's her name, courtside Karen, what's her real name?
I don't even know what her real name is.
Something Carlos.
Yeah, anyway, she's an Instagram model and influencer, so... Austin, how did you not know that, being the internet expert who spends all of his time on Instagram and Twitch and,
Well,
TikTok?
There's apparently a lot of Instagram models out there, Mike, and I'm going to be honest, I don't follow very many of them.
I'm going to become an Instagram model.
You can now that you've lost all that weight.
I'm going to take 10 pictures of myself in 10 different outfits by the pool.
Yeah. You got to do the silhouette challenge.
Little silhouette. I'll do all that stuff, and then I'm really going to put on my resume Instagram model. That's
you're gonna
what
have
I
to,
do.
if you take pool pictures, you're gonna have to wear those tight Speedos.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not against that idea. Not against that idea.
Juliana Carlos is her name.
It was always my stomach I was embarrassed of, Mike.
With 68% of the vote, so pathetic, wins this one. In third place, with 11% of the vote, said not pathetic. Interesting.
You do you, girl. You do you.
That's right. Get that clout. Supplemental poll number 4, with Bianchi's doppelganger Jeff Bezos stepping down as CEO of Amazon. Mike, you put Facebook for this one, just so you know, it's Amazon. Which celebrity does Bianchi look like the most? Is it Jeff Bezos, soon to be Superman's evil villain, Pitbull, Howie Mandel, or Jeff Van Gundy?
I'm going off the board here, all right? I've been told by many, many people that I look like a young George Clooney. I'm going a young George Clooney. Yes. That's what I'm going for. Huh?
Yeah.
You tell me, I honestly, like.
Don't you play that.
No, I'm not doing that. Come on now. I'm saying, no, really, honestly, I can see the Jeff Bezos thing. If his face was just thin, a little bit thinner, a little bit elongated, yeah, definitely. You look like, you know what you are? You're Funhouse Jeff Bezos.
What, the fat face?
Yeah,
Jeff
like,
Bezos?
oh, look, we curved this mirror. Oh my God, it's Jeff Bezos. Look at that.
Look at, he's got 3 chins now.
You just change the shape of your head a little bit, and you're Jeff Bezos. I believe that.
Oh, man. With 45% of the vote, Howie Mandel wins this poll.
I see that, too.
You can see it. And finally, the open mic Would You Rather poll. Would you rather fight an alligator or a great white shark?
All right, we've already done this poll.
We have not, Mike.
We've done this poll, and this is just your passive-aggressive way
I don't know
of
what you're
trying
talking
to...
about.
Yeah, your passive-aggressive way because we made fun of your Would You Rather poll
I don't know what
yesterday
you're
with your
talking about, Mike. You
superhero.
want a more realistic situation, and I gave you a more realistic situation.
Okay, fine, Austin. Would you rather be able to fly or shoot webs out of your wrists and then swing? Okay, Austin, just go ahead and vote, buddy. Just go ahead and vote.
It's an incredible question, all right?
Well, if you're going to mention this, I'll have to go with obviously the alligator because I grew up on a lake and we had alligators in the lake, and I know that when wrestling an alligator, all right, never try to keep an alligator's mouth open, all right, because the jaw power is unbelievable. But if an alligator's mouth is closed, you can keep that mouth closed. It's hard for them to open their mouth. The human hand can keep an alligator's mouth closed. So I don't think you could keep a great white shark's mouth closed.
See, I would fight the shark because I know all I got to do is land the first punch right in the nose, and then they swim away. That's it. Everybody knows that. Listen, they're like big bullies. They don't like to be punched in the nose. All right, they just swim right away. So I don't even ask questions. Great white shark. It's a great comedian one time.
Right in the kisser.
A great comedian one time said, they tell you to punch a shark in the nose, but what if he wasn't going to bite me? And he's like, you punch him in the nose, and he's like, hey, man, what are you doing? He goes, all my friends are watching. Now I got to bite you.
85% of the vote goes to the alligator. Can't wait for tomorrow's Would You Rather poll, which is, would you rather fight a gorilla or fight something else that will come up
Hippopotamus.
with Hippopotamus.
Yes.
There we go.
Hippos are scary strong.
Oh, they are. They're meaner than you think. All right, straight ahead, we're going to get into a column I wrote in today's Orlando Sentinel, which you can read at orlandosentinel.com right now, by the way. And it's about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their head coach, Bruce Arians, hiring 2 women assistant coaches. That's coming your way next. But first, we have your chance at $1,000.
Now, your chance to
had to wait until after. I know everybody's going to go behind their back anyway, and agents will have agreements with people. But I think the hiring process should wait till after the season.
That was Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians yesterday talking about hiring head coaches in the NFL. The process should not begin until after the season is actually over. We're going to get into that story here momentarily. But first, from our text line, 50857, you can text in. The text question of the day, the spontaneous text question of the day is musical death that most impacted you. Somebody just texted in Stevie Ray Vaughan, the great guitarist. Yeah, that was a big one. John Prine, who just passed away over the last few months. Jim Croce, somebody texted in. Operator, could you help me place this call? I voted Leonard Skinner when I was a teenager. They were my favorite band. They went down in the plane crash, obviously. Not all of them died, but the main member, Ronnie Van Zant, passed away. And I told the story how when I lived in Jacksonville, which is where Leonard Skinner was from, every Christmas Eve I would go to Ronnie Van Zant's grave and leave a single can of Budweiser beer, because that's what Ronnie Van Zant drank back in the day. Somebody texted in, I think Skinner would have been as big as the Rolling Stones someday if Ronnie hadn't died. They were a hell of a rock and roll band. John Denver, somebody texted in. Did he die in a plane crash as well? John Denver?
I think he did.
I think he did too. Probably over the Rocky Mountains somewhere. Yeah.
Wasn't Rocky Mountain high enough?
Yeah. Yeah. Keep those in 508. Keep those coming in 50857. All right. As I mentioned, coming into this segment, I wrote a column in today's Orlando Sentinel about Tampa Bay Bucs coach Bruce Arians and his penchant for hiring women football coaches. You can go read that column now if you like at OrlandoSentinel.com. Thank you. All right. So to me, and as I wrote, Bruce Arians deserves a ton of credit for his hiring practices. The Bucs are the only team in the NFL that have not one but two full-time women assistant coaches on their staff. They're also the only team in the NFL where all four of their coordinators are black. All right, so they have all of their coordinators. Byron Leftwich, offensive coordinator. Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator. Keith Armstrong, special teams coordinator. Run game coordinator, assistant head coach. Harold Goodwin. They're all black, all right? Only team in the NFL that has this diverse of a staff. Bruce Arians, when asked about why he has a diverse staff, said, quote, "Inclusivity and diversity are great ways to teach. I mean, the more input you get from different types of voices, the better output you're going to get." So I want to concentrate on the two women right here real quick, because that is the genesis of our open mic thought-provoking daily poll question. All right, so there's two women staff members, assistant defensive line coach Lori Locust, and also assistant strength and conditioning coach / physical therapist Maral Javidafar. All right. So those are the two women on Bruce Arians' staff. They both have completely different stories. Maral Javidafar, she's got a PhD in physical therapy. She's obviously an expert at strength and conditioning and physical therapy. So she got to where she's at because of her education, because she's one of the best at what she does. All right. Lori Locust, her background is she loved football in high school. There was no outlet for her passion. So what she do out of high school, she goes to college, she gets married, she has a couple of kids, she sells insurance. And then at age 40 years old, she decided, you know what? I'm going to go for it. So she starts playing semi-pro football in her hometown of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So she got injured playing semi-pro football. She starts coaching that semi-pro team. The coaching bug bites her. She becomes a volunteer assistant at a local high school. She worked 9 years at a local high school, and she didn't get paid. She worked her job. She worked 9 years at the local, didn't even get a stipend, didn't get paid anything, all right, to be a high school coach. And then, you know where she got her big break, guys? The Alliance of American Football. The Birmingham Iron of the Alliance of American Football hired her. Of course, that league lasted about 6 games. It folded up, but she got hired, and that's where Bruce Arians heard about her, and he hired her onto his staff. All right, our thought-provoking daily poll question. Austin, you want to read that?
I got it for you right here. The thought-provoking daily poll is, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers having 2 women assistant coaches on their staff, do you believe there will ever be a woman head coach in the NFL? Yes or no?
We talked about this during the blast. I voted yes on this, and I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but I think it could happen in the next, 10 or 15 years, maybe. And the cliche argument has always been that male athletes wouldn't accept coaching or discipline from a female coach. To me, that's the most laughable argument I think you could come up with, because I got to tell you, look at the number of people today, including myself, including Adam Reardon, who've been raised in single-parent homes where the moms are the authority figure, the moms are the breadwinner, the moms are the disciplinarians, the moms are the mentor, the role models, all of those qualities you should have if you want to be a good head coach. And again, I think an argument can be made that many male athletes, many people, period, grow up respecting a woman's guidance more than they do a man's guidance. Adam Reardon, would you agree with that or disagree?
Yeah, no, I would agree, and I would be interested to be face to face with the person who goes, these guys aren't going to listen to these girls, and I go, well, if your boss was a female, would you not listen to her?
Absolutely. My boss is a female, and I listen to her.
Yeah,
both of my bosses are females, and I listen to them intently.
Yeah. So I mean, the idea that somehow, some way, for some reason, a man wouldn't listen to a woman in the workplace. Again, I suspect that those are the people who just don't want to see a woman in that position.
Yeah. Again. Well, you always hear talk of great football coaches like Urban Meyer. They're great CEOs. Well, guess what? There's a lot of great women CEOs in this country. Okay, so yeah, I don't think it's going to be that long, especially with more and more leagues like the NFL. The NFL, give the NFL credit. The NFL gets blasted for a lot of things. All right, but 4 years ago, somebody at the NFL said, you know what? There's about 50 million women who watch the Super Bowl. Maybe we ought to get more women involved in our sport and in our league. So there has been a big initiative on the NFL's part to be more gender inclusive, not just racially inclusive when it comes to head coaches, but gender inclusive as well. So give the NFL credit for starting the initiative 4 years ago. Austin, what's your opinion on this?
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt that someday there's going to be a female NFL head coach. And the reason for it is that I know a lot of people think that sports is just a male thing, but really we see it across social media. We see it across our listenership even. I know we have a very male-heavy audience. However, there are a lot of women who are heavily invested in sports, and it's not just like, ooh, women's basketball. No, they're invested in football as well. And so if they are invested early enough, they learn the game as well as anyone can. Guess what? It's going to happen eventually, and don't be mad when it does.
It's like I said earlier. I mean, if the idea is you have to play this game, to know this game, to teach this game, to coach this game, then how the hell did Charlie Weiss have go to 4 Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator in New England?
Charlie Weiss never played football.
Never played football.
I didn't even know that until you mentioned it earlier.
Charlie Weiss, I don't know. He's done any exercise his entire life. But the guy's made millions upon millions of dollars coaching at the collegiate ranks, and has got 4 Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator in a game he's never played.
By the way, he needs to give all 4 of those rings to Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's the reason Charlie Weiss got those rings. Let's be serious.
There is one thing that I want to touch on, though, real quick, is that someone tweeted in the fact that whatever the first female head coach is just a PC move. Whether that's true or not.
No, that's not going to be
No, hold on. Whether it's true or not that someone decides, okay, we're going to break the glass, we're going to let this happen, okay? If that happens, who cares? That at least opens the door for women who are more qualified than maybe the first one to go in and get the job that they deserve. There has to be a first one. Whether it's a PC move or not, it's still going to be a good move forward.
Can you say again?
You absolutely could say.
I hate the term politically correct. All right, because to me, that makes it a negative. How about just making it the correct? How about taking the politically out of it and making, like, for instance, back in the 40s, did people say, "Oh, Jackie Robinson, that's just a politically correct move"? No. It was the correct move because Jackie Robinson obviously was qualified to play Major League Baseball. He was good at it. And there are a lot of women who, once they come up through the ranks, are going to be really good head coaching candidates. Why? Because they're smart, they're astute, they study, they work hard. You don't have to be a man to be